All right, y'all, here's the V2 assembly. And the crazy part about this is it's way bigger. So I made this about 2 times the size. Like, look how big the flywheel is. Big flywheel. 2 times the bore, 2 times the stroke. So yeah, this is interesting because this is about to be the biggest engine I've ever made. About to be a jumbo V2. So let's get started. We got our piston right here, connecting rod. Where's my piston pins? Right here. Some of these parts I didn't even like test yet. Might have to file some things down to get it to fit. As you can see right there, the pin isn't going in very smooth. Still going though. But we're gonna build this thing up. All right, so I got my file right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up a little bit. And a little bit on this side. You know, just to make sure everything fit. Where's the connecting rod bearing? Yeah, this has to go right there. Yeah, see, it's gonna be a tight fit, but only from that side though. Like, this side's okay, but it's just the other side. So if you print this out and it looks like that, or if it feels like that, just know you're gonna have to sand some things down. All right, there we go. So one connecting rod on there. Our other connecting rod. All right, so another thing you can do is get a drill bit that can fit in there and kind of just like make it exact. For example, this is supposed to be a 10mm hole, so I'm using a 10mm drill bit. And let's see how smooth the piston rod goes in. It's not quite there yet. All right, we have everything to size. So let's go ahead and build our pistons. I'm gonna start with this pin. Put it through the top of the connecting rod, like that. Make sure your thing can wiggle like that. Should be able to move. And do the same thing with the other one. All right, there we go. I'm about to say what's going on. But yeah, here we go. Second piston. Hey, this thing is looking good already, bro. This the first time I'm seeing this stuff. But now it's time to put these things on. Oh yeah, and get you some super glue if you want the best results. So now to put this on, what I'm gonna do is make sure that's good. All right, so I'm gonna glue the whole side of the piston.
Or just the inside of this thing right here. Or I got it at the top of the piston.
Now you wanna glue the top of this thing. Something is off. Something is like off. Are these even the right pistons? Guys, I might have to print some pistons out. All right, so we're back. We had to make 2 new pistons because these were shorter. But when I printed these, it was for a complete different engine. but I thought it would fit the same because I thought it was the same size, but it's actually different. But now we got a piston. Yeah, it's gonna be just like that. So before you put your piston, I was playing with this stuff while the stuff was printing. But before you put that on there, you want to make sure this thing fits good. It already fits. I just gotta get that little lip at the bottom right there. So make sure the piston fits in the cylinder before you glue it on. All right. Yep, this should be good right here. Let me get the other one. There's also a little lip on the inside of the circle too. I'm gonna get that off so it doesn't, this thing right here, so it doesn't interfere with anything. It's not that big of a deal. Put that right there. Get my other cylinder. Make sure both of the pistons fit. All right, that one's good. And that one's good. All right, now we can glue these on. Let me make sure these things fit good. Okay, cool. All right, let's go over this gluing process again.
You know, this is the reality. At least you know this wasn't rehearsed. Like, this is like me doing this, you know, like a raw reality of everything. I want this to be the top.
All right, add this onto the piston. Make sure it's like that. Make sure that's flush. Boom, make sure no glue's on that part so this thing can wiggle around. That's one piston. Now do the same with the other one. Boom, now we got our pistons done. I'm actually liking this so far, but these pistons are kind of heavy, so this might cause a lot of vibration. I'm gonna get something to wipe this off. All right, you wanna wipe the excess glue off before it dries. Like, look at that big chunk of glue right there. And it'll dry up in that shape, so you wanna get that off immediately. All right, that's the pistons. Okay, so that's how it's gonna look in the cylinder. It's actually moving pretty good in there. Check the other one. You might have to file the top of the piston down a little bit because it got a little lip on it. Alrighty. Yep. All right, so we good with these, the piston and cylinders. So now, should I do the crankshaft first? Or should I put this cylinder? Nah, we gonna do the crankshaft first since we already, yeah. All right, so this thing right here, the connector rod support or crankshaft, the support for the piston things, we're gonna glue that into the crankshaft first, have this side flush. So let me get this right here. Let's go ahead and add some glue. Hey, I'm adding a lot because this is a big engine and this thing's gonna have a lot of energy. So I'm adding a lot. What I'm gonna do is have that on the flat surface right there. Just put that right there. Then boom, that's it. Make sure it's flat. Yep. Now I'm gonna get that bearing, this right here, and I'm gonna glue it on right there. But before I glue it on, let me make sure I don't have to file that down a little bit. Yeah, I might have to file that down just slightly so this thing right here can be flush. All right, that should be good enough. So now I'm gonna add a whole bunch of super glue right here. Yeah, this is like a critical area. This is like where most of the energy is gonna be at, because the pistons, both of these huge pistons are gonna be pushing on this. So you wanna make sure there's a lot of glue for this. And put some right there. But you don't wanna add too much like me. I'm adding like too much. But it's all right. All right, push that all the way to the side like that. Make sure it's on there good. Look at all that excess super glue right there. Want to wipe that off. Yep, get all that. All right. All right, that's how it should look. Now you can get your pistons and slide them on. Dang, I like this so far. Look at it. But these pistons are big. They're big, man. See, these are way lighter than these. These are like solid and just bigger. So it just, I don't know, who cares? I'm ready to build this thing. I'm ready for it to run right now. All right, so now that your pistons are on, now you can go ahead and glue the other side of the crankshaft on. All right, this side, don't put too much glue because it will come up and, like, once you push the crankshaft on, it'll push the glue over to the side right there. I actually want something to be right there, but I don't want none to get like past that. This is, yeah, this gonna take some patience, man. This takes, like, you really gotta know what you're doing right here. All right, get your other crankshaft, face it that way, and boom. this thing is not all the way flush, but that is a-okay. That's a-okay. Now you just want to make sure that piston right there is, or that connecting rod isn't. So you can see I can see some of the glue almost right there on the bearing and this, but just don't let it seize up on there. Just don't let it seize up. But right now we're good. So this is the crankshaft so far and the pistons. All right, what is next? We got the main shaft. Should be easy, just glue this thing.
Yeah, basically this super glue just welds everything together. So right now I'm welding.
All right, you put that in there, make sure it's flush on the side right there. All right, right there should be good. Somewhere in there. Boom. Nice, nice, nice. Now, we got another support to put on the other side for the timing shaft. And basically we're gonna make sure these are not seized still. You always wanna go back and make sure. All right.
Boom. Boom. Boom.
All right. Push it through, make sure it's flush on this side, and also you want to make sure it's even as well, because there is a little bit of wiggle, as you can see. I don't like that, but it is what it is. And let it dry. I really want to fill these gaps in, but we're gonna do that when we put the bearings on. And right now we are ready for the bearings. So this is how the crankshaft should look right now. Got this bearing, and we got a slightly longer bearing. So the slightly longer bearing, I think this goes on the main shaft, and then the shorter one goes on the timing shaft, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like a millimeter of a difference, half a millimeter if you're printing it in a regular size, but this is 2 times bigger, so it's probably a millimeter of a difference. All right, nothing seized up. Let me see again. All right, this one, main shaft bearing. And before you glue the bearings on, since they're gonna be rotating in the side of the crank, you wanna make sure they go in there freely before you glue them down to the crankshaft. Yeah, that's a very tight fit. Let me file it down just a little bit. I only need slight filing or sanding. Okay, that's better. That's better. Okay, that's cool. All right, so let me go ahead and glue that down. Slide that on right there. sure that it's flush with the crankshaft. Make sure there's no gap. Now with the timing shaft thing, this thing almost got glued on. We got this one for the main shaft. Yeah, this definitely gonna need some filings. All right, with this one, since I can see like some gaps in there a little bit, like about right there and stuff, I'm gonna make sure I get some glue in those areas, because I don't want this, I want this crankshaft to be as stiff as possible for this, because I really don't know how much power this thing's gonna be. Yeah, all this is like very simple stuff. Like you can go back to my very first YouTube video on my Paper Engines channel, and I've been using this same setup since. Well, not with the bearings and stuff, but like just the whole principle of it working. Like how the air valves work. Like I've been using the same sliding valves since I started making these things. And that's just what's been working best for me. All right, wipe off this excess. And we have a crankshaft right here. This is a complete crankshaft. Okay, time to build the bottom end. So it's gonna be like that. And the other side. Nice. So it's gonna be like this. It's cool. Make sure this piston is on this side and this piston is on this side. The timing valve or the sliding valve lobe would be on this side. That's the main shaft. So make sure that is in the right position before you start gluing things down. Like this thing right here. That's gonna be right there. And the other one is gonna be right here, but actually have this one facing the front of the engine. And have this one with the cutout in it facing the back of the engine. Yeah, it should be like this. When we glue it down, make sure things moving good. Yep. Yeah, lubrication will fix all this stuff, and I'm gonna demonstrate that later on. But we can glue these down now. All right, so I'm gonna glue this one first. All right, so that's the back side. So make sure it's flush with the crankcase parts, like the bottom, as you can see right there. Yeah, just make sure this stuff is even. All right, let's get the other one on there so we can. put this on the other side. Yep, right there. Have this flush at the bottom. Have this side flush. And make sure both sides are flush and even. So it should be something like this. See, this mat's not flat, so it's not really coming in handy for this job, but it's all right. We gonna get it done regardless. All right, so once all this stuff is in place, yeah, make sure this thing can still spin. All right, so once this is in place, it should look like this. Man, this thing is coming along. All right, so next, now we're gonna glue the cylinders into the cylinder banks. Let's start with the first one. Let's glue a little bit of the outside too. Yeah, that's another reason you want to use a strong glue, because this stuff is powerful. All right, that's one piston. Make sure it's flush. There we go. I seen a little gap. I had to hurry up and press it before the glue like dried up. All right, that's one. Time for the next one. All right, now we got 2 cylinder banks. Now, what you want to do is, since the pistons can't go through this part right here, you want to file these parts down so the piston can fit through. Just go ahead and wipe some of that glue off. Let's see how it fits. Can we get our piston in there? Oh, snap. It's one piston. Let's make sure this is the right cylinder. Yeah, this is the right cylinder, luckily. Now the piston is in there. Just have that right there. Yeah, this is gonna add more strength to that crank so it don't move around. So yeah, that's one right there. And time for the other one. Do the same thing. All right, get that excess glue off. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm the only one doing this on YouTube that I know of. Like, that's like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing it different. And for this one, let's go ahead and slide that piston in there if we can. Pinching my hand, man. All right, so this is how it would look. So we're gonna glue these cylinder banks down. Bro, now this thing's starting to look real. This thing's starting to look familiar now. So yeah, let's glue these. Let's glue these cylinder banks down. I'm not gonna take it all the way off. I'm gonna just leave it right there. But you know, we can just, I'm gonna just glue this face and this face. Maybe that part right there too, and that part. we can glue the first cylinder bank down. Just make sure it's in the right position. All right, yep, just like that. All right, that one's good. Now do the same thing with the other cylinder bank. I'm gonna try adding some glue right here now. This thing is getting heavy. All the parts coming on here and it's just more and more weight. Alright, this thing is looking good. This thing is looking good. Ah man, the piston's barely even moving in there. Oh snap. Let's let it dry. Let's let it dry. Hey, see, that's what will happen if you don't glue this thing down good. Like while it's running, that part can actually like fly off. But yeah, let's let this thing dry a little bit more before we start playing with it. All right, man, that's looking good. See how big this flywheel will look on there. But this flywheel, yeah, this is how it's looking so far. It's looking good. All right, so everything is drying up. Dang, I'm probably about to lubricate this thing a little bit because this is crazy. Put the flywheel on, this thing takes a lot of... Yeah, that's how it's gonna look. Oh yeah, and I never showed y'all the engine stand yet. It's the engine stand, and this is how it is gonna be mounted on. Yep, just like that. So this part's gonna look like this. The front's gonna look like this. This thing is cool. Oh yeah, and that's why I have this little cutout right here. So when you mount it on here, it can breathe from the crankcase because the pistons are gonna be moving up and down, so the air can breathe. Crankcase breather. So yeah, that's gonna be right there. And then the timing lobe gonna be right there, something like that. So boom. Take that back off. Let's take this off and let's put the, what's next? Cylinder head and slider valves and stuff. Let's get these out the way. We don't even need these for this project. Put that right there. Yeah, we got the intake, one sliding valve. Got the second one. Yeah, this one right here has a cutout for this part right here. So yeah, this is gonna go in this one, and it's gonna be a regular one. Now what you want to do is for the sliding valve clearance, you want to make sure. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue these valves on first. You know, that's what we're about to do. We're about to make the whole cylinder head and stuff like that. So get these parts. You don't have to worry about the sliding valves right now. So get the back of the air valve. All right, so need these parts. All right, so this is what we're working with. Cylinder heads, front of the air valve, and then the transfer ports. So yeah, these would be on here like that. Can't even see. Yeah, these are not. Oh. All right, so let's get started with this. With this right here. So we're gonna start off with this airway right here. And what you want to do is glue the bottom. This is going to be sitting on top of the cylinder head. Boom, got that glued. And what you want to do is just have it, put it right there, have it flush with the end of that right there. And make sure it lines up with this right here. So basically what this airway is doing is taking this air and pushing it from right here. And then what this airway would do is the sliding valve is going to be, this is basically connecting the exhaust and the intake together to go through that one thing right there. This doesn't look so straight. Right there. All right, cool. Now what you want to do, if you have to, is file that down flat. Only if you have to, but I'm going to do it just to make sure. Make sure it's flush. So something like that. Have it flush so this part right here can come on. Then that one's going to be right there. We can go ahead and glue that on there now. Take this. And make sure you don't leave any gaps around where the air is going to be flowing through, because you don't want any leaks. Your engine will run better. All right, so basically connect that hole right there with that one. So these two squares should line up. Like something like this right here. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, because air, you want to go back over these right here with some glue, which I am. Actually, I'll do it right now. You just want to go over these possible air leaks or air gaps right there where you connected the two airways together. You can even do it right there too, but it's all good. It's good. Oh, snap. Be careful because it will get on your hands. All right, we're going to do that with the second cylinder head. So start off with the first airway, glue the bottom. Alright, so now we can let that one dry. Now we got two cylinder heads. All right, so yeah, now what you want to do is make sure this whole thing is flat. This thing already looks flush. I think that's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, got that part. Now we can go ahead and put the back of the air valves on. Now what you want to do with this part is line this rectangle up with this rectangle. So it'll look like this. Yeah, something like that right there. Man, what is that noise? What's going on out there? All right, you want to get this lined up. Right there. Man, this stuff is messy if it gets on your fingers. But now what you want to do is, I'm going to go over this part too. Yeah, just get all this stuff sealed up, because this is where a lot of the air is coming through. Air pressure is going to be built up right here. Maybe 50 psi, but I won't probably put 50 in there, just because I don't want to blow this engine up. This engine looks too well for me to blow up, but I might do it for the video. You know, I might do it. Y'all know I might do it anyway. All right, that is that. Now we can let this dry. Let's do the same thing with this one. Let me get the back of this one. All right, so now that we got both of these cylinder heads, now we can put the front of the air valves on. Take this off. So yeah, put one of these on right there, and then put the other one on. Let's go ahead and glue this stuff down. It's the easy part right here. We're almost done making this engine. Like, this is like what makes it work. This is the timing of the engine right here. The sliding valve. It just goes up and down, moving from port to port, moving from the bottom to the top, and just keep doing that over and over, letting the air in and letting the air out, letting the air in and letting the air out. And it just does that over and over and over and over again. That's how simple all this stuff is. Stuff is not complex. A lot of people still wondering how it works, man. This stuff is easy, man. Like I said, I've been using this same sliding valve system since the very, very, very beginning. I had to come up with my own design, and ever since I did that, I made one for the first time. All right, that's one front of the sliding valve. Let's get the other one. All right, for this right here, have this circle on the bottom. And it should be just like this. You can see where my part didn't print out all the way, but that shouldn't stop anything. You know, we still gonna make it work around here. We make everything work. All right, and then the thing should approximately be flush with the thing right there. Almost. Pretty close. That means we're good. All right, So now we got our 2 cylinder heads. All right, for this part, we will be putting this cylinder head on this side and this cylinder head on this side. This is where the extension comes out and it gets flush with the other side. I think that's where this one comes in to play. So it looks something like that. And this thing, yeah, see, this is why it's like that, just to have that flush with that side. So this thing's not even all the way on. Yeah, just have that flush like that. Well, it won't be all the way flush because we have this plate, which also has an indentation in it right there. So it'll go like this, and it should line up with the other side right there. So it should be something like this. Something has to be off though. This thing's probably, yeah, all this stuff's gonna get tuned in, dialed in. Yeah, it should be like this. This is like perfect. All right, this thing is getting close to being finished, man. Let's drop a little bit of oil in these cylinders and in the crankshaft and lower the friction so I can show y'all that part. Yeah, this thing, let me go get some oil. All right, so just add some oil. I'm gonna drop this in the cylinder. Dang, that was a lot. Put some in here too. That by itself is gonna reduce a lot of the friction. As you can already see. Let's take this thing off of the stand, and we can drop some oil in here as well. Drop some on the bearings. And this thing should like loosen up. Dang, let me put the flywheel on. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now I should be able to just spin this thing. Yep. This is how it should be. Alright, so let me get all this excess off. I gotta glue this cylinder head on. All right, man, I'm liking the way this thing's turning out so far. It's coming out pretty good. Oh, snap. It's coming out pretty good. Let me put it back on the engine stand. All right, now, before I actually add these on, I want to make sure these sliding valves can go in there. And right now, from the looks of it, looks like a tight fit. Still goes in there, but we might have to file that down a little bit. Not even might, we have to file that down. Yeah, that's too tight of a fit. Actually, this one right here is good. Seen a piece of plastic on there. Yeah, I filed this one down already a little bit, but this one right here is good for this sliding valve. Yeah. All right, so that one's done. For this sliding valve, yeah, I gotta file this one down. All right, so sanded this one down. It's a little dusty, but it now can slide in there freely, and this one can too. So now it's time to glue these things on. I'm not gonna glue this on yet. Actually, I can glue that on already, but it doesn't matter. Do I want to put this timing thing on first? Nah, we don't have to put this on yet. Just make sure you put these on. But make sure it fits though. Oh. Alright, that fits. And I know the other one fits too. No, that's what I don't want to happen. Oh man. Well, let me take these off. I'd rather get glue on my hands than for that to happen. Now it's actually a piece of glove on my engine. Like, come on. That's an example of what would happen to your skin once the glue gets on there. That happens. Let's go ahead and put these cylinder heads on. So I'm gonna start with this one. And let me get this piston away from top dead center. I don't want glue coming in contact with it. I'm gonna glue the outside of this thing right here all the way around, just to make sure everything is sealed up completely. And make sure your sliding valve is already in position. Alrighty. Alright, we got this. Now it's time to add it on. Alright, so make sure your sliding valve is like past this thing. Now put your cylinder head on, and when you put the cylinder head on, make sure this thing is like even with the, like make sure it's parallel with everything. You gotta do it quick before stuff dries up. All right, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool right there. All right, that's one. That's one thing on there. Make sure that, just make sure it's actually on there. Yeah, we're good. All right, so the second one. Dang, I should have put this one on first. Hopefully I can do this without breaking it. Yeah, there we go. Should have put this one on first. Put the one that goes behind this one on first. Don't do like me and do it like that. Glue, man. All this glue, sticky. All right, so this part will go right here. And just to make sure everything lines up, I'm going to put that right there. And let me see this part. Yeah, see this thing comes a little bit right there. Yeah, this thing will still line up. It'll still line up perfectly. Yep, just like that. So we're good. We can go ahead and glue this part down. All right, so put it on there like that. Now we're on there. Just make sure everything's even. I think that's even right there. Good. I think that's even right there. Let's see. Put this thing right here. Just line it up one more time just to make sure. And yep, see, there we go. We are good. we're good. Yep, right there. Yeah, we're good. All right, so this thing is almost done. We can glue this thing in now. And just to clarify, there's two intake parts. This is for the actual intake that goes on the intake manifold. This goes on the back of the intake manifold, or right there. So the longer intake circle thing goes right there. The shorter one goes on the front of this thing. So let's continue. Let's glue this thing down. Alrighty, there we go. Just put it on right there. See, I would have put it on the inside, but I don't want it to, like, you know, get everywhere. I don't want it to start spreading and stuff. But once you have it like that, you can go over it. Yeah, let's go over it. Just seal this up. Make sure no air comes through there. Get that last slab. All right, I think I got it. All right, so got that sealed up. All right, so I'm gonna add this on first. About right, nah, wrong way. Yeah, about right here, and then right there. Yeah. All right, let's glue right here. Get that whole corner. All right, get that part. Then for this part, get the whole outside. Yep, looking good, looking good. Get a little bit of that. And just line it up to the best of your ability. Yeah, and we're gonna have to keep it locked in like this for a few seconds, just to let everything stick. Get the plastic sticking. All right, and this is how it looks so far. Hey man, this thing is coming along. That's how we looking so far. This is what we're looking like so far. Bro, this thing is big, bro, and it's heavy, man. Got the flywheel, man. Let's see how it looks with the flywheel on it. Yeah, this thing is already looking crazy. Looking crazy. See if everything still spins. Yep. Alright, so everything still spins. That is very good. No super glue in the cylinders, as I know of. I hope it doesn't. I hope that didn't put any glue in there. But there's always a possibility. Alright, now that we got that thing on there, let's put this intake on the intake manifold. Let's use this side. Yeah, this is fun. Very fun. It's very rewarding. All right, let's just line that circle up with the one in there and boom. What's dripping? Like, is that super glue dripping off the... Dang, I put that much super glue in there? Like, see, that's what I hope it's not doing on the inside. I hope it's not dripping on the inside. That'd be bad. Seize my whole engine up, then I'm gonna have to throw all that stuff away. All right, so this is on there now. You also want to go around go around these areas with the glue. Make sure your intake port or your intake is sealed up. Yeah, we don't want no leaks, man. Like that's the goal here, is to have like no leaks. The only leaks we want is in the sliding valve and barely there, and around the piston. That's it. I wonder how loud this thing is gonna be. All right, that's that part. Now we can line that up with that part right there. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, it don't matter which way. Just put it on there and line it up. And it should be like something like that right there. Something like that. Make sure everything is pushed together. Bro, this thing would run right now if I like hooked the lobe up to this thing and had the timing valves or the sliding valves timed and stuff. Oh, I thought one of them was seized. One of them wasn't moving. All right, this thing is looking good. It's looking good. But we're not done, because we still got the exhaust ports. All right, we have to finish this thing off, man. Let's go ahead and got this one. Where's the flap for the smaller exhaust? Right here. All right, man, before we put these flaps on though, or the side pieces, we're gonna glue these things on like this. Let me see how well it lines up on the engine. All right, so this would be like this. Boom and boom, something like that. Yep. And what I want to do first before I glue that down is get this part right here. This is a square for the exhaust. The same thing we did with the intake right there is the same thing we're gonna do with the square. Hey, that rhyme. All right, let's glue this part. Glue this on to the back of the exhaust valve. We're so close to completing this thing. It's almost done. Super excited. I like to seal my exhaust up too, so I might go over it. I'm gonna go over it. We're not gonna skip out on anything. Let's just keep going. The better the effect if you seal this up good. Don't really hear the exhaust sounds. All right, so once you got that on there, now we're gonna glue this right here. Should be easy. All right, then glue this right there. Make sure it's flush at the end. That's how you know you got it in the right position. If it's like flush on the end, make sure it's flush as possible. About right there. Something like this. All right, that's good enough. This thing won't be exact, but I like for things to be exact. It's gonna bother me that 0.1 of a millimeter off right there on the end. It's gonna bother me a little bit, but I'm not gonna let it. Mounting this thing on. Let's see how we can do this thing. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, right there. So that's how that would be. Just make sure this square lines up with that square and this square lines up with that square. It might not be super exact, but if you can get it close, then that's all that matters. These are just the exhaust ports, so it's okay. Don't put too much glue. Don't want it to get in there. But at the same time, you want it to seal everything up. So, all right, I think we're good. All right, so once it's like that, now we can go ahead and put this right there and put this right there. Look at that part right there, man, but it's okay. It is all right. So let's glue this stuff down. There we go, the 2 exhaust ports. Okay, we're still moving. We're still moving. That's very good. Now, this thing. Move that up. Move this down some. We're gonna have to take this thing off the thing for this. This is the part where everybody asks me, bro, how do you time the engine, man? It's pretty simple because it's only 4 positions you can have this timing lobe at. But I'm gonna show you how to time it. So this crankcase, all right, we're pointing down towards us. Now what you wanna do is, if you want it rotating this way, which if you want it rotating this way, put the timing lobe. So if it's right here, put the timing lobe pointing this way so it can be 90 degrees ahead, which is this way right here. Since the crankshaft is pointing down right here, have the lobe pointing this way, which would look as simple as that. So yeah, let me move this up. I'm not gonna glue this timing lobe down yet. Oh snap. I'm gonna actually run it without gluing it down. All right, there we go. Is everything okay? Nope. All right, there we go. Now I think everything's okay. All right, so it should look like this, pointing in this direction right here. Crankshaft still pointing down. As you can see, it's 90 degrees ahead of it. And this is how the sliding valve motion would look right there. And now with that timed, we can, before I put this thing back on, let's lubricate a little bit more. Let me get the bottom of the piston. Yeah, like where the crank pins at and stuff like that. You want to make sure you got those areas. Let me drop a little bit more on the crankshaft. Let me drop some on the sliding valve right there and right there. Now I gotta get the other side of the sliding valve or the back of the sliding valve. Let me have that down. Just get the back of the sliding valve. If y'all wondering what oil that is, I don't really even know what oil that is. It's just something. You can almost use anything. Let's get the back of that one. Oh snap, I missed it. All right, now let's put this thing on the engine stand. One more place to lubricate. Hold on, I'll wipe some of this off. One more place to lubricate is your lobe. All right. I'll let that circulate. Bro. And I think we're finished, man. I don't want to glue all this stuff down yet, like my flywheel. I actually might glue my flywheel down. But that lobe right there, I don't want to glue that down yet. Because I might want to take the sliding valves out if I have to. You know what I should have checked? I should have checked and see if I should have showed y'all the sliding valves in action on the actual valve. But it's all right. It looks like it's coming to where it needs to be. But this is the finished product. The V-twin. Yeah, man, the V-twin. This thing looks cool, man. I can't wait to hook it up to the air compressor. It's done. Let's just wipe all this extra stuff off, man. Just get it looking a little nicer. Man, I hope y'all get to make one. I know a lot of people still having trouble with this, man, but it's not hard. It's not hard, and if you mess up, just try again. It's not hard. Link in the description for this model right here specifically. Yeah, this thing is cool, man. I think it's cool. It's my best one. I like this one. I like this one more than any other engine I made so far, just because it's full size. It's full size, man. Alright, here's my engine. I got something connected to the intake. Didn't run it yet. Here's my smaller V-twin. As you can see, it's a major difference. And yeah, man, for the moment we all been waiting for. Alright, here we go. It's not doing anything. Do this thing even work? I felt something pushing. Hold on. out of air pressure. All right, let's start this thing up again. Bro, this thing is like, this thing is extremely loud. This thing is loud. But what do y'all think so far? What do y'all think? I think I gotta lubricate it some more. I think it has to break in some more. Let me try, like, I'm gonna lubricate the bearings a little bit more and drop some oil down the line to let it just circulate throughout the whole thing. I'll be back. Alright, I lubricated everything again. And I think I just gotta let it break in. This the break-in period. You know, this stuff is gotta wear itself out. Yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. And let me know if y'all had success with making one after this assembly video. I hope it's easy enough to follow through. Yeah, I like this thing. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's gonna be going on the shelf.